Hello everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very well. It's Alex. I am back home from Leicester. And listen, I thought I'd just briefly touch on the game. I've spoken to everyone else outside the stadium, but to be honest with you, my phone was running out of charge. It was raining, it was very cold, and I wanted to get home. So I thought I'd do my fan cam here just to talk about what I thought about the game. Unfortunately, I was a little bit late, but I did get to the game early enough to see the opening goal from Nicholas Jackson. From what I heard beforehand anyway, there wasn't really... I didn't miss much. So let me know in the comments if that's true or not true. But the first 15 minutes beforehand, I don't think there was anything in particular that I missed. I didn't get there 15 minutes, probably about 10 minutes into the game. But yeah, really impressed with what I saw from Nicholas Jackson. I thought it was a fantastic finish. To be honest, when I was in the stadium, I said, does that not remind you of Drogba a little bit? The way he shrugs people off the ball, holds on to it, links up well. And it was an assist from Enzo Fernandez as well, who we're going to speak about later on. A nice assist and a really just clinical finish. And when Nicholas Jackson was signed for Chelsea, he had one of the if not one of, well, the best or one of the best statistics in La Liga for, I don't even know what the word is. When he shoots, he scores. What's the word for that? I don't even know what that, just being clinical. There's a word for it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. And last season, I don't think we really saw that because he missed a lot of chances. And there's two sides of Nicholas Jackson at the moment, especially last season. There was the side who say, give the man time. And there's the side who say, this guy's not good enough. He's never going to be good enough. And I think that we can all appreciate that we have one of the best strikers in the Premier League at the moment. This is something that's come out from the club. Everyone's, there's a lot of PR coming out. We see things about Badiashile, Robert Sanchez, Nicholas Jackson, another player. And to be honest with you, I think Nicholas Jackson absolutely deserves all of the praise at the moment that he's getting, because what he is doing is he is proving pretty much 90% of the time that he should start ahead of Christopher Nkunku. And that is brutal. And to be fair, I should probably do a video on Nkunku, because this is still a top player that we have on our books, earning big money, who was the highest scored player in Germany, can't even get any minutes ahead of Nicholas Jackson, who before this has only ever played one season in professional football at Villarreal. And you're telling me, hang on, how the hell is Nicholas Jackson starting ahead of Nkunku? He's already established. Where's the comparison here? But unfortunately, Nkunku was injured last season. So Jackson had that time to develop himself. And he only needed one season before I honestly think he looks perfectly established right now. Now, if there's one thing we could say to maybe improve on Nicholas Jackson, his heading ability, his movement in the box at times can improve. But when he's getting chances, he's still scoring goals, yeah? Doesn't have to be 3 goals every game. Some people say, well, he stat pads like he did last year when he scored a hat-trick at Spurs. I'm not seeing stat padding. I'm seeing consistent performances. Yes, he had a small blip. I'm sure Erling Haaland has blips. He didn't score today when they lost 4-0 against Tottenham. Don't think I forgot about that one. Man City, you're in the mud. How the fuck are we? But we're only 1 point behind. I'll tell you what, if we finish in front of Man City this season, that would be absolutely beautiful. People say maybe you should be concerned about Tottenham. Guys, let's be realistic. Let's have a serious conversation here. But anyway, moving on to the game, as I was saying. I was surprised with the lineup to an extent, but I mean, we didn't change too much. Badiashile was in there, João Felix as well, and Enzo Fernandez instead of Lavia. I think that, to be honest with you, every single one of those 3 players was good. I was happy with João Felix. I thought he was winning a lot of fouls. Could he have maybe done a little bit more? Sure. But, I've seen a lot of performances from the guy, and I think, bloody hell, he's not even doing anything. But at least defensively, I think he was making things happen as well, which can kind of pin down the fact that he had a good game. Not a brilliant game. I'm not going to say he was a 9 out of 10, but a 7 out of 10. I thought he was solid. I can't sit here and say I thought João Felix had a bad game. So big up to him on the left side. He wasn't as spread out. We didn't have that width with Felix. I think we used Cucurella more so for that. But it allowed Felix to do what he does best. And ultimately, you want players like him in the middle so he can cause problems. And also defensively, it helps as well, right? Because if you're in the middle, that's where things are happening. And he was able to get stuck in. And I was happy. I was happy with what I saw from him. I was also really, really impressed with Badiashile. For whatever reason, this system suited him well. We had Fofana playing as a right-back, slightly more defensive option on that right-hand side than what we would have with Gusto and Reece James. So we're not seeing him inverting or anything like that. But what we are doing is we're pushing Cucurella up, and then we've got three quote-unquote centre-backs, but one of them's playing as a right-back, sitting a little bit deeper. And I don't have a problem with it. And maybe that's one of the reasons Badiashile's playing better, is because he has a little bit more support next to him. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I'd have to look through the stats more often. I'm going to do that on a stream later. But yeah, I'm happy with what I saw from Badiashile. I thought he looked in control. He looked comfortable. He never strikes me as an aggressive defender, but he strikes me as a clean one. And that's a good balance to have, because what we have with Colwill and Fofana, they are quite aggressive, aren't they? So I think it adds a little bit of balance in there. And you've got Cucurella, who just performs week in, week out anyway. So there's not really a lot for me to say on him. People saying he's man of the match, I can't really criticise that. Although I'd personally go with Enzo Fernandez, who I think was very, very good. Played on that right-hand side, not so much a regular pivot, like we've seen in the past. Usually on the left as well, let's not forget. Even when he was pushed up before, it was on the left. I think Fernandez looks better on that right-hand side. Why? Because his natural passing movements just seem to work better. He's able to move quicker. If he's on the left-hand side and he has to turn around in order to pass the ball with his right foot, when you've got teams pressing up against you in the midfield, you don't have the time. But on his right foot, he's able to do those first-time passes. We saw him spread the play beautifully at times. And also, he's able to hit those first-time crosses as well. Or just crossing in general. Forget first time. But we don't cause enough problems in terms of set pieces. We certainly don't have enough aerial threats. So when the talk of strikers comes up, Victor Gyökeres, Osimhen, I can actually understand that. Even with the form that Jackson's in, we need a different profile of player. Listen, if it's not going to be Nkunku, Maresca's clearly not using Nkunku as competition for Nicholas Jackson, then the reality is that he'll probably end up going. But he is still on a contract. He's pinned down at Chelsea. I just don't understand how you could bring in another striker, which again, I'm totally open to, and keep Nkunku as well. So I don't know. I haven't really made my mind up, but I'm certainly open to it, because we need to cause more problems in terms of our headers. Especially if you look at our front line, I don't see Jackson causing issues there. I don't see Felix or Palmer causing issues. Madueke is probably one of the only ones, but I actually thought he had a frustrating game today. He blocks Palmer from scoring a goal. They were both laughing about it at the end, but we wouldn't have been laughing if we drew that game 2-2, would we? So, as much as mistakes can happen, Madueke, for me in this team, was probably one of the players that I looked at and said, you're just frustrating me. And I can tell you from the fans sitting around me, he was certainly frustrating them. The word that I heard constantly throughout the weigh-in when he had the ball was, don't make a poor decision. And then when he made a poor decision, people went, what the hell is going on with this guy? He keeps doing the same thing, giving the ball away, dribbling too long, or having shots. So for me, one thing Madueke I'd love to see more of, maybe he needs to work on this in training as well, crossing with his right foot, or even getting onto his left foot and whipping it in. I never see the guy actively looking for Nicholas Jackson in the box, and I do think that maybe he lacked a bit of support in that sense. But not to say he had a terrible game, but I don't think he was brilliant. And Cole Palmer, didn't really see too much of him either. I mean, Leicester were very aggressive, very, very aggressive. They were kicking us. Maresca said it himself after the game. He doesn't think it was a red card challenge in the first half. I think that was on Cole Palmer or Felix. But there was certainly a lot of challenges that I think, if it was the other way around, based on what we've seen in the past in this league, I mean, referees love dishing out cards for fun. I didn't feel like they were doing that in this game. So I felt like the referee was letting a lot of things fly, which is fine. But if it's 1 week, one rule, the next week, another rule, then it's quite frustrating, isn't it? Caicedo, I thought he was fantastic. Always happy to see him playing well, spreading the play, getting stuck in. Brilliant from him. Jadon Sancho back in the equation as well. I hope to see him starting against Aston Villa. I think that would be a bad decision than Madueke. Just give Madueke a little rest. Maybe even play him on Thursday. I mean, who knows? But I'd like to see Sancho start if he's fully fit. Or Neto, like one of the two. But I do think Sancho, he wasn't in bad form, was he? So let's see if he can pick that back up. And then Robert Sanchez, I just don't feel comfortable with him in goal. There's not really a lot to say because he wasn't tested, but the moments that Leicester had were because of poor distribution from Robert Sanchez, giving the ball away on goal kicks. And you may not notice that on the telly, but I promise you it was evident when we were in the stadium. He just makes us feel nervous in the away end. He made me feel nervous. I don't know why he's still playing for Chelsea, but listen, he's going to play again against Aston Villa. I hope Jorgensen has a good game in Germany, because Lord knows we need it. We need a goalkeeper who can buck his ideas up. Forget saving. Can you just kick the ball, please? Kick the ball. You might be asked to pass short, but just with some conviction, with some confidence. He doesn't look like he's confident out there, despite the backing from the club. But, I mean, what do I know? So let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Do you agree or disagree with what I'm saying? Overall, it's 3 points, isn't it? We've got to be happy. I am. And we are closing in on Man City. 3 points gained on them. Listen, we're going to enjoy the rest of the weekend. Happy days.